This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 358 for the week of March 9th, 2014. What up, hey, and welcome to a Kanzenshuu,
the podcast.
That's right, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu.
I'll cover anything and everything. I don't know why I'm starting with Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. My name is Mike VegettoEX. Joining me for this here episode, talking some Kai stuffage, mostly one young man named Chris, who I also, and you also, many people also know as Kirbopher.
That's right. Oh, and you see, This is a testament to Mike and I's relationship because he actually knows how to pronounce my screen name correctly. Kirbopher. It's like Christopher except Kirbier. You got it.
What else do you get from people?
Most often I get Kirbopher, which I've kind of turned into like a sub name for because it's funny. And
I can see it. Yeah.
And occasionally I get Kirbopher. I don't know how, but
I'm going to adopt that one. I'm stealing that one. I like it.
Please don't. Please don't.
I get it. I get Mr. LeBray a lot. I'm like, really? It's so easy. Mm-hmm. It's the cheese. How hard is this?
Well, maybe I'll just call you Mikhail. I'll give you a poorly adapted DBZ name. Sure, okay.
Mikhail Labre. It's my
Karu or some bullshit. Oh my god. Anyway.
Yes. So you and I this episode. Thanks for joining me, man. Kind of last second, but I appreciate it.
No, of course. Thank you for inviting me. As you know, we were saying before we started recording, I am a big fan of the DBZ Kai. So I'm happy to join in and talk about it.
Got a lot of that news this episode. This is going to be one of those episodes where the news kind of transitions into its own topic. It's probably gonna be a lot like that as we head into the early April debut of the Buu arc of Kai. There's going to be so many new announcements that really turn things on their head in some ways, and this is definitely one of those weeks. So that's our news and our topic that we will get to shortly. I wanted to share something at the top of the episode. My name is Mike, and I have a problem. I got another version of DBZ Movie 1 over the last couple of weeks.
It will never end.
Never.
Never, ever.
I actually, while I own the Japanese Laserdisc of DBZ Movie 1, and of course the DVD and Dragon Box the movies, I did not yet own the Japanese VHS of DBZ Movie 1.
That's right. I always forget that they did subtitled VHS tapes of those first three movies, didn't they?
Over here in the US, yes. I purchased the subtitled and the dubbed release when they first came out over here from Funimation and Pioneer. DBZ Movie 1 actually came out the very tail end of 1997. I think it was November or December that year. And that's how this whole not quite funny internal Kanzenshuu VegettoEX meme started back then.
So how many now copies of that movie do you own, please?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I need to take a new picture because up in our loft, I have a bunch of albums, records, vinyl, framed up on the wall. And because Laserdiscs are the same size, I've got DBZ stuff up there as well. So some of my collections it's a bit strewn about the house. I have not recently collected them all together again, which I think I need to do. So the Japanese VHS joined the family this week. At this point, in terms of Japanese things, I think I need to get myself some film reels next. That's probably next on the docket here.
I literally can't believe... count them up next time you take a picture of them all collected together, because, my God, you have to at least hit, past 20, 25 at this point.
I don't think I'm quite at 20, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you think about how many it's had over here in North America. I don't actually own the double feature release on either DVD or Blu-ray because that was kind of, at that point I already had Dragon Box the movies, and it wasn't quite insane with the international releases that people started sending me after Dragon Box the movies. So I kind of need to dig back and get a couple of those Funimation releases in the meantime. But yeah, it's probably approaching 20 at this point.
That is just insanity, my God. But only you would have the gall to do that.
That's right. So that's my story. Let's talk some news. The first bit of news, kind of two huge stories this week is Battle of Gods is going to be airing on Japanese TV. Of course, it debuted in theaters last year on March 30th. It got a home release on September 13th. And it's been trickling out internationally over the months since then. As these things are apt to do, they will pop up on Japanese TV after it's been out on home video. I'm actually kind of shocked that it's on TV as soon as it is, but when you consider Buu arc stuff, it kind of makes sense.
Well, this soon, I was going to say, has it like actually been almost a whole year since it was premiered in theaters in Japan?
Yeah, it has. A year ago, Julian was getting ready, he had his collaboration ticket, and a couple weeks from now, a year ago, he was heading off to the theater.
That is insanity. It feels like it was like 2 seconds ago.
It really does.
It just came out.
It totally does. So maybe it's not that soon. So March 22nd, it's actually going to air on Fuji TV at 9 p.m. in their special programming slot. It's going to have extra scenes. And the way we learned about this was voice actress Eiko Yamada, who plays Mai, actually hadn't done stuff in quite some time and thankfully came back to reprise her role as Mai in Battle of Gods. She tweeted out here, Dragon Ball Z Kami to Kami Battle of Gods. Last year's movie will be broadcast on March 22nd on Premium Saturday. It will run longer than the movie. And Julian's little note there is like, it's going to be longer than the theatrical version. Kind of vague, Japanese being the way it is. The scenes of the idiot trio of Pilaf, Shu, and Mai will also be powered up with additional recording. And she's got a shot there of her and Tesho Genda, who played Shu. Did he also play Bojack? I want to say he played Bojack later on. Have to fact check that. But picture the two of them in the recording studio. They've got the updated script there with the additional scenes. So Chris, what do you think? Battle of Gods getting extra scenes. This stuff has happened before, but Dragon Ball is kind of so old, we haven't really had circumstances like this.
Yeah, and I think it's, by the way, he was General White too, Tesho Genda.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I gotta say, it's really commendable because they don't have to do shit like that ever under any circumstance.
No.
Yeah, because I don't know. And he was Bojack and Janemba. Yeah. Anyway, adding on to that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's because like these big companies, they really can just kind of put up whatever they want, and that's it. And like it's not that big of a deal. But the fact that they go the extra mile of, hey, people have already seen this. This is, a big thing now that we're premiering it on TV for the first time. Let's go back in and add, a little bit of extra stuff. Why the hell not? That does still cost money and time, and Toei has proven that they don't always like to give those things.
It's really interesting how you're approaching this. You're almost putting them in, they're so charitable. We should be so thankful to them for putting in this extra effort on things. The flip side of that I've seen from a lot of people is the, whoa, wait a minute. You already put out the home release. I already bought the home release. Now I have an incomplete version of the film. Are you going to put it out again later?
That is true. Although, to be fair, for us, I imagine a lot of people in the U.S. are still technically waiting for
True.
An official American release, with or without a dub, etc. That's a whole other subject. But, so I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe the version that we'll get will have that stuff included into it. Or maybe this will be exclusively for TV. Maybe they're doing something kind of like specific with the Pilaf trio, like that has to do with it being on TV. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we don't know the extent of what these extra scenes will be. It sounds like there will be multiple additions that, at the very least, will include the so-called idiot trio. I love how they self-describe it that way. So what I see in my future is creating a custom Blu-ray of the original version, plus the extra scenes, re-subtitling it myself because I can't live without a fully complete version.
You remind me. I'm still waiting for that like ultimate cut of like all the like Bardock and other stuff that you were talking about like ages ago.
I know.
I want that.
You know what happened there was that was on my previous computer, and I was loading a lot of this stuff. I don't know why I was doing it this way through AVI Synth, and then that computer basically blew up. The motherboard literally ate itself alive and exploded. So I transferred over that to the new computer when we built our new computer, and I bought an upgrade to Premiere and AVI Synth and 64-bit Windows 7. It's like, none of this really works anymore. So I think the worst part was the Bardock special itself. I was loading through AVI Synth, so I just exported myself a logarithm of the entirety of the Bardock special, and I just have to go back in and realign, I think, that special with the rest of things. So it kind of still exists. It's just I got to put in that effort, don't I? Well,
and for that last minute or so, literally the only person who understood any of that right now was probably Kaiser Nako. Probably spoke any of that language.
Just twiddling your thumbs.
It's like, yeah, I understand what he's saying completely. I get it. Yeah.
And in the meantime, episode of Bardock came out. It's like, oh, do I put that at the end? I don't know. Kind of don't want to.
No, just don't. Just, like, It didn't happen.
So that is a little bit of the Battle of Gods news. I guess sort of related to Battle of Gods is Flow is coming to Texas. If you live anywhere near Texas, you're going to be playing Anime Fest 2014. I have to imagine they'll perform at least Head Shala, if not Hero Song of Hope during their performance. That'd be cool.
Probably. And probably they did We Are Fighting Dreamers, right, from Naruto.
Yeah, way early on in Naruto, back when I watched it.
Yeah, that's how I think that's how I first learned about Flow. They were good.
Yeah, I think them. Me too. They've done a bunch of other anime theme songs. I mean, not much in the news. They put up a video. Hooray, they're coming to the convention. So that's that. Then real quick before we get to kind of the biggest news story of the week, Psycho Jump, the issue that came out, the April 2014 issue came out on March 4th. Actually started up another Q&A session. This is super weird because it's almost named exactly the same as a previous Q&A session. Last year in Weekly Jump, there was super long interview, please tell us Akira Toriyama sensei. And that ran for a bunch of weeks in a row. This one is simply called Tell Us Toriyama Sensei. And I think this one's only 1 exclamation point as opposed to 2.
These names, I can't get enough of these names.
So pull down your excitement by 1 exclamation point for this one. This is Naho Oishi asking Toriyama questions. The blurb along with it says there will be more. It's like, all right, well, that's a month from now. At least the Weekly Jump one is every week you could expect something. So the Q&A this time. And this makes more sense in Japanese than it does in English because scouter is kind of an English-ish word and sounds a little more foreign in Japanese. Anyway, her question was, what is the origin of the name of scouter? And Toriyama responds, in the military realm, the word scout refers to reconnaissance. For example, a reconnaissance vehicle would be called a scout car. I tweaked that scout and gave it its name. In other words, it's a useful tool for the purposes of information gathering. It's the kind of thing that we can very easily infer in English, but again, Japanese.
It reminds me of this sort of weird use of like because the Japanese, they find like English words to be really interesting. It's like in One Piece, like log pose. That, like you hear that, and this is one of the, not that I'm like defending the 4Kids dub super big with this, but like because they went with Grand Compass, I believe, for that device, and I'm saying okay, like I can get that because that would make sense, in terms of what it's supposed to be, because like log pose. You hear that like as an English speaker, it's like, wait, what do you mean? And then it's, if you really break it down and say, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense for what it does, but like just offhandedly, it's strange.
That's really curious. So, and then what do Viz and Funimation in the manga and anime adaptations respectively use? Do they just use log pose?
I know that the Funimation dub uses log pose. I would assume the Viz translation does too, but I don't know for sure.
Interesting.
So get Steve or Jason on the line. Somebody, One Piece podcast.
That's really curious because that's the kind of change that I would expect from Viz in kind of the boot arc of the Dragon Ball manga, where they started changing things. I was thinking about this yesterday, where they changed Pui Pui to Pocus, and then they left Yakon as is, despite the two of them being similar name pun bases in Japanese magical phrases. Like you change one thing, but not the other. But I understand, like that change makes sense. Weird.
Yeah.
Anime is weird, man.
Maybe Viz came up with it, and then 4Kids adopted it. That might have been possible. Shrug
indeed. So speaking of shrug, let's talk about Kai.
Oh, yeah, that pretty much describes your reaction to it.
I was talking about this in a couple places recently. Kai is really curious to me. I mean, I am through and through a fan of the original Japanese version of the franchise. At the same time, my main thesis has always been the dub needed Kai, and by the dub, I have to clarify that Funimation's English dub as distributed in North America, although other dubs throughout the world certainly at the same time equally needed this far more than the original Japanese version ever did. That especially ties back to the Dragon boxes coming out, then the single discs coming out, and the peak of that merchandise sales in 2007. And then 2 years later, you have Kai and the Japanese fans being like, so what? As opposed to North America, where there was kind of this built up, yes, give us something good, and then whole new generation of fans, etc. So that's where I'm coming from Kai, where it's like a neat curiosity. We've talked about this extensively in the past.
We have. You and I have.
I think everyone who's ever been on this show has had that conversation about Kai with us, because it's the gift that keeps on giving in terms of discussions. So Buu Arc of Kai coming next month, April 2014, the most open secret I think there has perhaps ever been. Other open secrets, including the Frieza voice replacement and the Funimation dub. What are some of the other best open secrets from Dragon Ball? Can't think of any. Well, another one is going to be the musical composer change. That was kind of an open secret here.
I actually didn't know that for sure, so that was kind of news to me.
Okay, all right, well, there you go. Try to keep up, man. Hustle, come on.
I knew that there was going to be new music, I just didn't know who was doing it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of what I mean. It's like kind of half and half secret-y there. So yeah, the Buu Arc is coming. Again, we're at this point in the news cycle where it's a month off. We need to start getting some announcements here, like who's returning for voices, who's not returning for voices. Music's obviously going to have to be different, or is it not going to be different? Who knows? So Fuji TV did announce all their new lineup for 2014. That includes Kai, and it includes some confirmations over voice replacements and everything I literally just said to you. So some of the confirmations coming back that we pretty much knew from pictures that Mayumi Tanaka and Toshio Furukawa had been posting. Kozo Shioya is returning as Majin Buu, and our main man Yuji Mitsuya is returning as Kaioshin. We pretty much knew those for sure. I think it was Tanaka's second blog post about it when she said it was someone's birthday, might have even been her own birthday, or maybe it was Nozawa's birthday. I think it was Nozawa's birthday. There's a cast photo, like, there's Nagasaki. That's the sound director for Kai. There's Shioya. There's Mitsuya. Okay, they're clearly recording Kai. So those two are coming back. Not coming back, however, very sad to say that Yuko Minaguchi, who so happy to have just been able to see last year at Animazement, the voice of Videl and also Pan, will not be returning for Dragon Ball Kai, even though she did return for Battle of Gods. She will instead be portrayed by Shino Kakinuma. It's actually the wife of Toshio Furukawa, who was also at Animazement last year. I think she had just broken her arm at the time, and Furukawa was like, oh, maybe I need to stay and not go. She's like, no, go, and she went too, and she was super nice. So she has actually done a little bit of voice acting in the past. She will be playing Videl. Chris, what do you think about this? Minaguchi is just the most adorable sounding person in the world. She is the one and only Videl to me. She's the only voice I have ever known for the character. I can't imagine anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, for me, my first exposure to Yuko was through GT, as a matter of fact.
I think a lot of people. Pond. Yeah.
And then I remember the very first DBZ movie that I saw in Japanese was, I think, the second Broly movie with like her and Goten and
sure,
and Gohan, and I thought, oh, it's Pon's Japanese voice. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, she was fantastic. And by the way, because I mean, that convention was a big thing with like her and Masuko Nozawa and Furukawa and help me Ryusei Nakao.
Yep.
And Kyle and everybody are friends from the dub. We're honored to meet them, and they had a great time. And actually, little bit of trivia too. I was just remembering this. Yuka Minaguchi actually appeared in an English dub of something recently.
Oh, did she? Yeah. I mean, she came over to the US to become more fluent in English. That's been kind of one of her life's passions, and that's what she's been doing. I'm sure that's related to why she's not returning for Kai here.
Yeah, for those of you who have still keep up with Pokemon at all, and you might know that I obviously did a little bit of work on it. Tom Wayland, the current voice director who's been working on it since like the Diamond and Pearl series, he actually brought Yuka Minaguchi in as a character in the most recent movie, the Genosect versus Mewtwo movie. She played one of the 5 Genosect that were like, the bad guys of the movie, basically. Little cameo, but he was like, yeah, there's a little special thing in there. So that's pretty cool. Go listen for her if you want to go catch that movie. I think it might be on DVD by now.
Did she play that character in the Japanese version too?
No, I don't believe so. Actually,
wow, that's super weird.
That she was in there, yeah. I think that I'm assuming she has been in Pokemon at some point in Japanese.
Who has not been in Pokemon at this point?
exactly. Yeah. In both languages by this point. But that was kind of cool, and I definitely love her performance. But you know what? I will say this though, having heard people like I forget his name, but the gentleman who took over for Mr. Satan for Kai, I felt like he and a few of the others have given some pretty solid performances in Japanese for the replacements and everything. I know that for Yuka Minaguchi, she also mentioned that, she was the little uneasy, coming back to Videl because of Mr. Satan's previous actor passing away, which is perfectly understandable. I think the fact that she got to come back for the movie, maybe they were like, please, even if this is like your last performance as Videl, maybe, this is just a theory.
Yeah.
If maybe like the production is like, can you just come back for the movie? And like, we promise, like, we'll make it as like comfortable as possible for you. And if that was the case, maybe that was kind of a nice note for her to go out on, the chronologically the last thing in the Z, timeline for her to be doing,
And I mean, for Videl, the role that she plays in that movie in particular, I mean, I would not have wanted anyone else to have that role in those circumstances be anyone else. I can't even imagine. So I certainly appreciate her returning for the movie. And I just looked up, it was Unsho Ishizuka that took over Mr. Satan. That's another voice replacement. I mean, no one. Impossible to replace Daisuke Gori. I mean, he's one of the most legendary voice actors in Japan. Ishizuka certainly brought in a respectable performance to that voice. That sounds, yep, that's Mr. Satan. That's not Mr. Satan, though. That's the tough thing about Kai.
Yeah. I mean, of course, this happens a lot all the time for different reasons. I've gone over this a lot with different things, but I'm sure that Shino Kakinuma will do a great job. I haven't heard her in any other shows before, but I trust that, the people overall who have, they've had to make these decisions with replacing people for, a variety of reasons. I'm sure they've gotten somebody appropriate. Did we talk about the other character?
Well, let's do that right now. Babidi was previously played by Joji Yanami, who is, as far as we know, still doing the narration. Always been the narrator. Has also played Kaio. Hopefully will continue on as the narrator. But Babidi will instead be played by Bin Shimada, who, I mean, he's taking over many, many replacements when, unfortunately, Takashi Aono passed away a couple of years ago. He was the voice of previously Piccolo Daimao, but also God. When he passed away, Shimada, actually, it was when he had his stroke, Shimada took over the role, and then he just continued onward a couple of years later when Aono, unfortunately, did pass away. Shimada, probably best known in Dragon Ball as Broly, he's going to be taking over Babidi here. He's got an incredible range, so that's another one where absolutely, sure. Yanami to me will always be Babidi as well, though. So it's another one of those, keep pushing me away, Kai.
It's interesting. I was thinking about that before, because I actually didn't even realize that. I know that Yanami was King Kai and the narrator, of course. And I think, was he Roshi at one point too, or was that?
I think for one episode when Miyauchi was not there or something.
See, I wonder, maybe this was kind of like the Japanese production making almost kind of a Chris Sabat sort of decision with Kai, where, I mean, obviously in the dub for Kai, Sabat distributed a lot of his characters to other actors that, he felt would better fit the part than him trying to do, 17 different characters. Maybe it was a matter of, well, we like working with Bin Shimada, he doesn't have any like main characters in the series at this point. Yanami is already doing King Kai, who is around the series still a lot, and the narrator who's in every episode anyway. Maybe just for the sake of like having some differentiation. It's funny too, because Babidi's had that a little bit in the dub too.
Oh yeah.
Bill Townsley, who does he was Kiwi, and he was one of Cooler's Armored Squadron guys, and he used to be Goldo from the Ginyu Force, and then they switched him out for Greg Ayers and Kai, because they changed a lot of the Ginyu Force. Sometimes he does Babidi in the video games instead of Duncan Brandon. Maybe just because like one of them's unavailable at the time or something.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that for when and if they do the part with Babidi in the dub, that I imagine they'd probably get Duncan Brandon to come back and do him. But so that's my assumption. Maybe it was because they wanted to provide a little differentiation and maybe just for the chance to work with them, and they thought that Babidi was a character that he could do that would give him that chance.
I don't know. That's a good point. At the same time, the folks that they're coming in to do these replacements are people that do have plenty of other roles. Like I mentioned, Shimada. God's no longer a character in the Buu arc, so you don't have to worry about that. Piccolo's already absorbed him, and Broly is not there in the TV series. But then another one that hopefully we're going to learn about this relatively soon. This character's not been announced yet. That's Dabura. You go back to earlier in Kai when, unfortunately, Daisuke Gori passed away. He was replaced for King Cold by Ryu. I love this name, Ryuzaburo Otomo. There's so many extended vowels sounds in there. Took over as King Cold.
He's crocodile, right?
Perhaps. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think about it, that makes complete sense. It's that exact kind of tone. Dabra's voice actor took over as King Cold for Kai there. So will he be back as Dabra in Kai? So again, you're using a lot of the same kind of folks to do these multiple roles, but maybe because their characters are so far spread out throughout the series, I don't know. It's super weird. I mean, Kai has always been this like, all right, that's an interesting choice. So, okay, all right, we'll go with it. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine characters like Dabra. Well, I'm sure he's still been played by the same actor in the video games.
Oh yeah, it's always been Otomo, and because he did come to do King Cold in Kai, I think it's likely that he will return as Dabra. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I could see if I had to theorize, because I know that like some of the other, like underling characters and incidentals and whatnot were replaced by some voice actors who were like more popular at the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go back to the Frieza arc. Except for Frieza himself, Dodoria, Zarbon, Huey, all replaced. All 5 of Ginyu were all replaced, even though Hayami Sho had played Sauza and obviously still around. He played Zarbon originally, still doing voices. So yeah, it's replacing popular voice actors with other popular voice actors. Some of that may have to do with who's associated with what studio these days and going rates. I mean, Hayami Sho, he's a big time dude.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I mean, like, yeah, that's the other thing is like, even though a little bit of that was the case with Kai in English, where like, are people available? Are these people around anymore? Who do we work with now? Like, I was gonna say too, on the Japanese side of things, I wouldn't be surprised if like some of the the tournament characters who like are only in a couple episodes,
right? The incidental
I wouldn't
guys,
be surprised if like some of them are like not flavor of the month, but like more current guys. Like I would be very surprised if like Mamoru Miyano, who I'm sure you know of him,
absolutely,
probably be slipped in there as somebody somewhere. I would be very surprised if he wasn't thrown into the show.
Mm-hmm.
People like him, and that's cool. That's neat. So I don't have any problem with that. Especially if it's like minor characters where it's like, who cares? But yeah, I think
you say that, who cares? But I don't know. I have so many fond memories associated with a lot of one-off incidental characters that you replace those voices.
Jewel, like Jewel and Killa.
Well, speaking of some of these characters, I'm sure that one voice, and this is going over to Funimation's English dub, which is one of those. It's not announced, but again, open secret. We all know Funimation is going to be dubbing the Buu arc of Kai. It's impossible that that's not coming out. But that character in the 28th Tenkaichi Budokai, anyone who doesn't watch the dub still knows what they did to that poor black-skinned character in Funimation's English dub. It's like the most inappropriate thing. I don't know how that flew.
I don't either. It's pretty great. I would imagine they're probably not going to go that route this time.
What, guys? Maybe we shouldn't do that this time. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, well, I guess while we're kind of on that subject. So, okay. And by the way, because I have to always put heads up about these things, I don't know anything. These are theories. Everybody listening, because I know people out there know that I know a lot of people in the English voiceover industry. I'm going to assume that the majority of the actors that have been doing the Buu arc characters for Funimation's dub will be coming back, and there won't be as many replacements compared to the especially like the Frieza saga in the dub, because all of those people for the most part are still working there. I mean, even Josh Martin, who I mean, mainly what he does for Funimation these days is just come back and do Buu
right,
for the video games. Like occasional guy like here and there on like One Piece or whatever. I'm assuming that all of them will be back. I could see, like I said, with the Japanese, maybe some of the tournament characters and people like that would be, some of their newer guys that they have in a lot of their current shows, which could also be cool. I'd love to see that. And my other thing too, I guess, kind of continuing on this topic. So a lot of people have been wondering, like, because information was leaking out about this like ages ago. My assumption at this point as to why we still haven't heard anything new, and why there hasn't been any further information about the dub coming out for Kai is because now that I guess somebody at Fuji TV or Toei or whoever, makes these decisions, decided, all right, well, you know what? Clearly because Toriko didn't do as well as we were
right, we're going to use it now. Sure.
Yeah. So, and that's completely their prerogative. And so therefore, if they want to have it air in Japan first before we get it in any form, that makes perfect sense. So it's like, okay, that sucks, because we weren't supposed to know in the first place, clearly.
Right.
So, sure, some of the hype is like, oh no, now we have to wait, but it's like, all right, well, whatever. Like we'll get it. I'm sure it'll still be great. I have always been of the opinion, I probably said this on another episode before, that I think that next to the Frieza fight, the entire Buu arc is like something that needed Kaiification like the most out of all of DBZ.
Yeah.
I think so personally. So I'm really excited to see it. I think it's going to be cool. I think it'll be another nice burst for in popularity in the States again for it. And, who knows, maybe even in the midst of it or by the end of it, maybe there will be something new about the movie coming out over here too, because that could be kind of cool.
Just going back to the Funimation bringing it out, Toei deciding they want to do it. Even with contracts the way they are, I'm sure Toei can basically do whatever they want. Funimation just has to fall in line with their tail between their legs. Whatever Toei decides, they just do. So even if Funimation had a plan ready to go, the instant that Toei and Fuji TV decided they were going to do it, probably ruffled up a few feathers, but too bad, Funimation, you gotta wait.
This stuff happens. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, like, at the worst, maybe some people are like disappointed because like now they have to wait or whatever, but like, I don't know. It's not the end of the world. I think it's still going to be, worth it in the long run.
Oh, of course. And like you just said, like we've been saying forever, no one was supposed to know this was even a thing anyway. I mean, there's not supposed to be any disappointment because you weren't supposed to know about it until a week or so ago.
Yeah, I mean, if we really want to get technical, we should be angry at Mayumi Tanaka, but we're not because it's cool that we just know it. So whatever.
All right. So let's get back into the news that was announced here. This is the most significant one. So, I mean, we've had 5 years since Kai debuted. There is an entire new generation of fans, and some of them may now be listening to the show and don't know what happened. All right, so Dragon Ball Z, well, I guess you can start with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and all the movies. Musical score composed by Shunsuke Kikuchi. Dragon Ball GT had an entirely new score, new composer, Akihito Tokunaga, not relevant here. Kai was produced in 2009 for the 20th anniversary of Dragon Ball Z on TV in Japan. Recut, re-edit using the original animation with some updated scenes and some updated effects. Revoiced, rescored, new musical score composed for Kai specifically by Kenji Yamamoto. Yamamoto had been with the series for decades, primarily doing the video games, going all the way back, the Super Butoden games up through the PS2 generation and beyond, been there the whole time. Also done some arrangements for like movie themes, that kind of stuff. So we get 95 episodes into Kai, something that we had all known for years, kind of open secret. Yamamoto blatantly plagiarizing music from other composers. Toei puts up this message on their website. It's come to our attention that the score for Dragon Ball Kai may be infringing on the compositions of other composers. Big thing. The next 2 episodes of Kai air on Japanese TV, stripped of the Yamamoto score, and instead go back to the original Shunsuke Kikuchi score from DBZ.
Can I cut in here?
You sure can.
Meanwhile, in America,
yes.
So the series, the dub for Dragon Ball Kai is airing.
It's airing. Yep.
On Nicktoons and on Saturday morning CW for Kids block.
Yes.
And they're like way behind. They're still in like, the Saiyan and Namek episodes. Meanwhile, Nicktoons is up to, I think, around the Android stuff at this point.
Correct.
Suddenly, they're like, oh, shit, what do we do? So Japan has to scramble to go back and redo all the background music with stock tracks from Shunsuke Kikuchi, who was the original composer.
Well, actually, I'm going to interrupt your interruption here because there were a couple pieces that were the most obvious examples that all of a sudden, the next time that these episodes aired, kept the Yamamoto score, but replaced specific tracks with other Yamamoto tracks.
Oh, okay.
And then you go back to Kikuchi music, and then depending on which network is airing which specific thing, you can literally flip back and forth between one week is Yamamoto music, and the next week you got Kikuchi music. It's a complete disaster.
Yeah, and the home releases as well, I think, what was it, the first 3 or 4 had still the Yamamoto music on it, and then 5 through 8 up until the end of Cell, which was the end of Kai at the time, had the Kikuchi music, and then all later re-releases in the States of the show had the Kikuchi music for everything. So at this point, unless you basically own like the initial DVD or Blu-ray releases of the first 4 Dragon Ball Z Kai
the parts,
sets in the US, all products that have Kenji Yamamoto's music are now basically erased as much as possible.
Right. And on the Japanese side, the way that Kai was released in Japan was interesting. For Blu-ray, it was box sets only. And on DVD, it was single discs only. So you actually got a few more episodes at a time if you bought the Blu-ray sets, because they would put out a set which would have like 3 or 4 discs, and then the first of those DVDs that day and date. So I think the Japanese Blu-ray set get 4 more episodes of Yamamoto than the DVDs have of the Yamamoto score. And our buddy Kay over in Japan has said that even Japan has gone back, and all the subsequent reprintings of Kai have the Kikuchi music. So even Japan had that thing go on.
So this was a whole big mess, and also this affected like the video games and things. So Kenji Yamamoto has been pretty much removed almost entirely from, the Dragon Ball world. Was saved for like a few of the theme songs that he did for certain games and whatever, which is like, all right, cool, whatever. I guess maybe those weren't plagiarized, maybe.
Well, the thing is, it was the most current game at the time, I think, was Raging Blast 2. And you were mentioning video games. A lot of people noticed later on what happened was they bought Raging Blast 2 not on release. And the opening theme, instead of Battle of Omega, which Hironobu Kageyama vocals, a Yamamoto joint, instead the music was the replacement opening theme from Budokai Tenkaichi 2 on the PS2. And then I think the entire musical score also replaced. Raging Blast 2, again, this is such a mess. All the Sparking games and the Blast games in Japan have newly synthesized versions of the original Kikuchi score from the series. The international releases have newly composed music in Japan to be released outside of Japan, at that time composed by Kenji Yamamoto. And I believe the Wii game, which we got as Revenge of King Piccolo, in Japan and in the US had a consistent score. Some of that music was the replacement music from Budokai Tenkaichi 2. You have to do these like family tree charts with all these connecting lines to show this came from this, was not released here, but was composed here anyway.
See, and you know what's kind of interesting about this, a little off topic, but the idea of some of this music, because even with when the Budokai games were first coming out, the type of music that we had in those games, which was like this really hardcore, like awesome kind of rock music, that wasn't, from what I understand, ever really the type of music that a Japanese audience associated with Dragon Ball?
No. See, you're classifying it as rocky, and that's true. At the same time, it had a very upbeat, jazzy side to it as well. A lot of that was the Tower of Power influence that came in for the Budokai series. Yeah, there were some really, really rockin' tracks, and as we've since learned, Yamamoto stole that from Stradivarius and some other bands. So
right. Well, either way, I mean that musical style was something that, it worked for the series better than the stuff that we had in the US, but at the same time, it was also something that I think like an international audience, American, included, that, could kind of associate with DBZ. So, like, I think that it's interesting to me because that type of stuff, and also, like, the music that they would compose specifically for the American releases of these games, and even the whole deal with, Kai starting back up again in the Buu saga, specifically because of how well it did internationally first, before anything with Japan. It's really kind of a testament to, like, how huge DBZ is outside of Japan, that they go that length, because they don't have to do that. They don't.
Yeah, I mean,
at all.
We talk about these financial reports. There's like Dragon Ball, oh my God, it's doing great internationally. So Chris, the news, as we've been leading up to, is you have to set this stage. It's batshit bonkers. All right, well, what music is going to be in the Buu arc of Kai?
Sure. Norihito Sumitomo, who composed the music for the Dragon Ball Z film Battle of Gods, which came out last year, will be now taking over for doing the music composition for the Buu saga of Kai, which makes sense. He was also not the person who did the music for the the episode of Bardock or the Plan to Eradicate the Super Saiyans. That was somebody else, I believe.
Right. So this is what I want to mention. We have had a couple other composers. A couple things you mentioned there. The music was by Hiroshi Takaki, who did episode of Bardock and I believe Plan to Eradicate the Super Saiyans. And then over on the video game side of things, taking over instead of Kenji Yamamoto was Toshiyuki Kishi, who I think was responsible for all of the Kikuchi synthesized versions. He had been there the whole time. time, and he's attributed to, I think, all of the recent soundtracks. There are other Dragon Ball composers, but it's interesting they did go with Sumitomo. One of my top stories of last year in the kind of lulz variety was the Toriko One Piece Dragon Ball crossover TV special. That actually did use a couple pieces from the Battle of Gods soundtrack. It's kind of the first place I heard it, because I heard it there before I saw Battle of Gods and before the soundtrack came in. And then retroactively it was like, oh, okay, I recognize that piece from the special, which is actually from the movie. Now, Dragon Ball was... This is the Shonen Jump Toei method of how things work, is the TV series gets its score, and then the movies get their score, and then pieces from the movies then get reincorporated into the series. So knowing that Sumitomo did Battle of Gods and will be doing Kai for the Buu arc, I can definitely see a new base of new musical tracks, as well as possibly some Battle of Gods things coming into the score as well. And that would certainly make it feel very similar to how it was back in the Kikuchi days. That's kind of the situation.
Yeah, you know what? I think I would be all right with that, because that is keeping relatively consistent with how the show has been. In fact, you said you watched the first Pokemon movie in Japanese way back in the day.
Oh, I absolutely adore it.
Yeah, and the Japanese music... we got like a whole new
completely
score
new
for that in America with songs and stuff. But the Japanese score was just a bunch of new background music tracks that were later put into the show, towards the end of that first season, and then, lasted for a long time. So that is relatively common, I think, with these kind of series. And I think that's fine. I think that does help to, kind of lessen the weirdness somewhat of all the stuff that's happened with the music changing and everything. I think that it gives a little bit of comfort and consistency to what's been happening.
Exactly how I would describe it. Now, here's the question. Have you seen Battle of Gods?
I have, yes.
Okay. Your thoughts on Sumitomo's score?
I think it's pretty okay. I think it's, it's relatively different than what we're used to, but I think that it still fits the series all right. And I'm sure, whatever he's doing for Kai will probably fit just fine as well. So
I didn't really like it.
That's fair. I thought it was fine. I guess now at the same time, it wasn't super standout, memorable to me either. But I thought it was fine. So if
I had to choose from the kind of three alternate composers that we've had for Dragon Ball, Hiroshi Takaki, I think probably would have been my choice from the Plan to Eradicate the Super Saiyans episode of Paradox Side. I want to say he also did the background music for the extra animated scenes in Ultimate Blast, Ultimate Tenkaichi. I think they brought him on as well. I could be entirely wrong. We've just had so many composers, even in Japan. I mean, we're rivaling Funimation here in terms of, nope, you're done, you're in. Nope, you're done, you're in.
Yeah, although, with the Funimation side, it's it all kind of blended together, so nobody cared that much, I guess. But
well, by the time the Ultimate Uncut came around, it was like, no one knows.
And now they don't even bother with any of that anymore, because they're just like, all right, we know nobody cares, whatever.
Thankfully, it's just keep the original Japanese. That's how it should be done. So the only other bit of news here is kind of on the production side. I mean, sound is production side, but Satoshi Motoyama will be joining Yukio Nagasaki as the audio director. Those of you, and myself included in here, that thinks Nagasaki didn't have the best grasp on the depth of the musical collection from the Kikuchi score and when to appropriately use things, well, he's got a cohort now, so maybe that can help a little bit.
To defend him, I think, again, because everything was airing at that time.
What a shitty job, man.
Can you fucking imagine how much scrambling they would have had to do to get that shit to work? You have two different places in the series that the episodes are airing. You only have a limited amount of time. They probably just had to work through that stuff day and night for all we know. It's pretty rough. So I would give him more of a shot. I know it sucks.
I certainly do. I do not envy that task. Just like you mentioned, it's not just for Japan, but also the international market. And to go back and do it, you had to do the entire 98 episodes. I'm sure that 96, 97, 98 were ready to go with Yamamoto music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And last second had to scramble to fix those for TV broadcast that week. Again, do not envy him. At the same time, not my problem. It wasn't as great as I was hoping it could be. I mean, the consumers got the final say there. And then Tadayoshi Yamamuro, a name we know quite well here at Kanzenshuu, will be the lead animator for both the new opening and ending animations. So that does imply we will get new animation, which makes sense. I mean, even Dragon Soul got updated for the various arcs there. Yamamuro still there with Kai.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what a new equivalent to We Got a Power would be like for Kai. I think that could be kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this last time on the show. We have Good Morning America providing
I love that show.
The first of several new ending themes to Kai. So, Chris, what do you think? Is it going to be Dragon Soul with new animation, or will it be a la Headchala to We Got a Power transition, an entirely new song? Will it be the band Dragon Soul? I'm blanking on the name. What is the dude's name?
Dragon Soul.
Yeah. No. The guy's name Taki. Wow.
Dragon Soul. I think the Dragon Soul. It's okay. We'll probably do a new song, or maybe like a sort of remix or something of
Takeyoshi Tanimoto.
You did it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Anyway, I think that we'll probably get a new song. Maybe we'll get like a cool remix of Dragon Soul, maybe or something.
Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool. Or maybe they'll just use like the second verse of the song. That'd be kind of interesting if they did that.
Oh,
I've seen shows kind of pull stuff like that before. That could be kind of interesting. But I'm excited to see that. And I think also we'll probably, if I had to also theorize, we'll probably get like the second ending maybe around when like Evil Boo like shows up and then is like the definitive bad guy of the series. I think that by that point,
I can see
by that point, like it'll be like probably the halfway of like where we are with this arc. So
well, that's the news. The Boo arc of Kai reclaims its time slot from 5 years ago. April 6th is going to be airing Fuji TV at 9 a.m. back alongside One Piece for the Dream 9 block. Again, this is Japan only for now. We know it's coming internationally. It's only coming to Japan because Toriko imploded toward the end there.
Have patience, everyone out here. I mean, I'm sure we will be getting it, maybe even within the year. Who knows? But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited even to see it in Japanese because I haven't watched the Boo arc in, save from like a clip or two in a long time. And I am excited to actually watch it again. I have never seen it in full in Japanese too. So it'll be cool to see it again. And yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of our news and our topic. But before we wrap up the episode, that most important question must be asked.
Who's that character?
Last time on the show, this is the clip that we played, kind of topical for some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. That was, I saw a guess that was almost right. Someone guessed it sounded like Piccolo from the Dragon Ball TV series. Indeed it was, except it wasn't Piccolo. It was Mr. Murasaki from the Red Ribbon Army, Takashi Aono playing Murasaki. I think it was episode 37 or 38. I can't remember where I grabbed that from. It was when he ran into the house and Goku ran into the house after him. The late and the great Takashi Aono, we were talking about earlier, played Piccolo Daimao and God in the series. He actually suffered a stroke in June 2010. And again, like we were talking about, was replaced by Bin Shimada in Kai for the role of God. Unfortunately, did pass away a couple of years later, April 2012, at the age of 75. So thanks to Kieran for suggesting that. Murasaki there, Takashi Aono. So very similar to what I did last week. For Who's That Character, Chris, I'm going to ask you who you want me to use, and we're going to edit it out of the show, and I'm going to play that clip right now.
わかったか小僧。舞踊は無敵なのだ。
All right, and that clip one more time for you to hear.
わかったか小僧。舞踊は無敵なのだ。
So that's kind of going to wrap things up. Thank you for joining me here. What episode was this again? 358 of our show. Kanzenshuu is trucking along. We got a lot of news going on, a lot of content that's perpetually at the 99 percentile of. And this is the kind of thing that we do where it's, well, this is almost done. All right, instead of finishing this, let's do 10 other things. And I've been keeping up on the stuff that Julian has been transcribing. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So instead of our stuff, Chris, tell me, what do you have going on?
Sure. Well, as of late, I have been promoting and doing a lot of material for my YouTube channel. Some of the stuff that I do every week is I do vlogs that I call Kirblogs, where I talk about different subjects, different things, different all sorts of stuff. Sometimes I have guests on and etc. Those are a lot of fun. I've been putting out episodes of my my web series that I've plugged on the show before. I'll plug again. It's called Tome, Terrain of Magical Expertise. If you're a fan of Mega Man Battle Network or Dot Hack or Sword Art Online, which I've never seen still, you might like it. It's like a cyberpunk kind of thing. It's got some DBZ influence in it as well. There's a character named Zetto who is very much inspired by that. Go check that out. I put those out every Thursday. And also, this is perfect. In fact, when is this episode going to be coming out?
Monday or Tuesday. So right around when you're planning, I think.
Okay, great. Well, maybe even on the same day that this is out, or maybe the following day. So I've been doing a new series on YouTube called Did You Know Voice Acting? It is a fan-made spin-off of Did You Know Gaming, which I'm sure you've probably all seen before. It's like a trivia show about just game stuff. And I've been doing one about my years and years of formerly useless knowledge about voice acting stuff. And I've done 2 episodes at the time that we're recording this, a Nintendo characters one and a Sonic one. And the next one coming out that coincides perfectly with this episode, of all things, is about Dragon Ball Z. And it's one of a couple DBZ ones that I've written, and it is mostly the history of kind of like where the show was produced and, where some of the different dubs have been done over the years. And it's got a lot of information that, in fact, I have learned thanks to the folks on Kanzenshuu.
Oh, man. You say the English dub. It's like, okay, which one?
Exactly. It goes back. So if any of you guys have ever been curious as to why, like, this Canadian dub and then this dub for Dragon Ball and then this one for GT and then this Funimation thing and this and that, if you've ever wondered about what the hell the deal is with that, I break it down as much as I possibly can into like a 7 to 8 minute long thing. So that'll be coming out. Go keep an eye out for it.
I'm really looking forward to that because I feel really terrible saying this, but there are very, very few people that I can listen to talking about Dragon Ball and not cringe. It's basically anyone who's been on this show. That's like you, Lance, and of course all the regular people, Heath, Julian, Jake. And I'm just like, oh, that's wrong. And it might even just be the most minute little thing, but
the Pioneer dub was my favorite. Right. That kind of shit.
That kind of thing, like, like that's right, except it's actually like these little things. So I have full faith that when I listen to you talk about Funimation, Ocean, Blue Water, all these various things, I know it's going to be accurate. I know it's going to be fun, and I know I can point to it, and not have any reservations about pointing to it. So I look forward to that.
Yeah. And if I'm able to do like future DBZ ones, I might even try to dig deep to some of the folks I know that have worked on the show and maybe find out if there were some other little like interesting things that happened like with the series, like when they were originally doing it way back. And and I mean, obviously there's still been all these rumors, well, not rumors, but about this alternate Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Kai. And I know some things about that I probably can't talk about. So I look forward to that. Go check it out if you've had any interest in like kind of seeing exactly what the breakdown of like how all that stuff has worked. Go check it out. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Kirbopher15. I still have a number in it because I was a child.
Oh my god, did you make that name when you were 15 years old?
I made Kirbopher when I was 12.
God, I'm so old.
Yeah, I got rid of the numbers around 15, 16. I was like, I should probably.
Well, to be fair, I made VegettoEX when I was 16, I think. So.
See, but EX is fine. EX is like kind of cool sounding. A number is just the bane of internet existence.
Oh, a number will always date you. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. The numbers in your screen name and video game sprite recolors as your avatar. Those are just the bane of my fucking existence on the internet.
Yeah, so instead, I have a video game letter combination, and occasionally I recolor a scouter on myself to make an evil version. So that's only slightly better. I don't know.
We'll run with it. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up. Probably.
I think so. So Thank you for talking about Kai. Thank you for the Who's That Character. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everybody, thank you for listening as well. And, keep listening, keep watching, etc., etc.
That's right. All right, Kanzenshuu, www.kanzenshuu.com. Love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, I haven't said it in a while, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations for everything Dragon Ball related. There is a forum thread on our site for every episode. You can talk back to us. Well, don't talk back to us. That would be really rude. You can engage in a civil, polite, mutual conversation with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Google+, on all the various places. It's usually Kanzenshuu, except for Facebook. At least we have the name change. We're still working on that. That's it. So I have been Mike VegettoEX. That has been Chris Kirbopher. Wrap it up, dude. You have the last word.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to Kanzenshuu, the podcast. See you all next time. And, please do listen. We do hope to see you next time, because if you don't, we'll be really sad. Sad for you!
Hate you so much. So much.
I was going to do the narrator, but I realized I did that last time, so I wanted to do something different. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, in Canada, sad for you! I'm going to hit the stop button.
All right, me too.